Morning Uganda agenda, Robert Chirabonyonyitono. And this morning I have a full panel of competent people when we talk about community-based saving, mobilization for socio-economic transformation. Now there you definitely know that I'm talking about the cooperative movement in this country. Now most of the times when we talk about cooperatives, people forget that SACCOs are under or are a form of cooperatives. And that clearly explains that among the guests I have this morning, Mr. Cooperative is part of them. That is the General Secretary, Uganda Cooperative Alliance, Ivan Asimwe. But I will introduce him later. Let me begin with the gentleman just next to me, who has been at the helm of the leading SACCO in this country in terms of good management, good accounting disciplines, and also the monies. I'm told this SACCO has more money than 17 commercial banks in this country put together. That is the Wazalendo SACCO. Join me, welcome Colonel Joseph Freddy Onata, who happens to be the CEO Wazalendo SACCO. You're most welcome.
Good morning, viewers. Thank you for inviting us to share with the public. And
at the extreme end, I have my good friend, Bwambale Pasco from Uganda Federation of MG. Now, this is a model that was borrowed somewhere, but literally means village banks and community credit cooperatives. You're most welcome, Bwambale.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers.
I hope the people of Kasese are doing fine.
Perfect.
Very interesting part there. Also when rainfall starts, you wonder, well, have they been relocated? And last but not least, a very common person when it comes to discussions regarding cooperatives, Mr. Cooperative, Ivan Asimwe. Most welcome.
Thank you so much, moderator. Good morning, our dear viewers. As usual, I'm honored to be here. And I want to take this opportunity to appreciate, in a very special way, the board and management of UBC. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. And as usual, cooperators, we are there saying thank you so much for this opportunity.
Maybe I'll begin with you, but briefly. Ivan, we are going to be discussing community for socio-economic transformation, but briefly give us a background to this, please. Briefly.
Oh, thank you so much. Once again, I'm happy to be here. And I want to thank the CEO of Wazalendo. Thank you so much for the good work that you are doing to this country, especially when it comes to mobilization of savings and also giving affordable and appropriate finance to the members of Wazalendo SACCO, majority of whom are the soldiers, well displayed. I also want to thank my comrade, Mr. Bwambale, from UFCC, for the community mobilization of savings. So when we talk about savings, moderator, here in Uganda, we still have a very big challenge. The research done by Bank of Uganda and the financial sector deepening still shows that people are not saving. And even those who are trying to save, end of the year, all their savings are burned. They come back to zero and we start afresh. Even those that have tried to see deep in rural areas, even in urban centers, you can imagine a group is saving, end of the year, you buy meat, you share, that is all. You buy rice, you share, that is all. And you're happy to be a chairman of such a group that mobilizes money, you buy a cow, you slaughter, end of the story. No, when we talk about savings, we are looking at savings so that eventually you have investments. That's what we are looking at. Now, when you have to look at globally, for this today we are specifically looking at SACCOs, savings and credit cooperative organizations. Now, globally, SACCOs or credit unions, the way they are called globally, they started in the 19th century, around 1850, in Germany, in Europe. Then in Africa here, as Father John was in Ghana, he was a Catholic priest. So he was from Ireland, but he went to Canada for studies. So as he was in Canada, he saw how the credit unions or the mobilization of savings was at that time, especially with people who had retired. So he came and brought the same model in Ghana. Then in Uganda here, around the 1970s, due to financial crisis then, Ugandans mobilized themselves and started savings and credit, but on a small scale.
Yes.
That later formed UKUSCU, Uganda Credit Savings and Cooperative Organization. That was in 1972. And then in around the 1990s, Uganda Cooperative Alliance visited some of the Asian countries, like you have heard my friend, the Korean model that uses village bank model. So when they went there, they came back here and started the village bank model. And that's why you see the first savings and credit cooperative organizations that started were called village banks. Agaro, Moyo, Ruchiga, Yamjungu, Chamuhunga, and others. They started as village banks and then later changed the name to savings and credit cooperative organizations. And here we are today talking of bigger circles, and Wazalendo is the lead. So I really want to thank Ugandans and especially the government. I cannot put government aside because our president has been at the helm of this. He has been really championing the cooperative model. You can see the parish development model where the president himself is at the center of organizing Ugandans into the parish development model so that people can save emyoga, different skills, people can save. The whole government, they have really invested a lot in cooperatives. A lot of government programs are now implemented through cooperatives. So we really appreciate the government, we appreciate everybody, we appreciate all Ugandans, the soldiers, the police, everybody for this. However, we still need a lot in terms of savings.
Well, that good introduction, explanation, drawing more light into what we are going to be discussing. Now let me bring in Colonel Onata, a man who is at the helm of the leading circle. And when I talk about this circle, I told you earlier on that you can add up 17 commercial banks and they are still at the helm of it. Briefly tell us about Wazalendo. Many hear of it and know about a soldier thing. Only that recently, even us who are not soldiers, at least we are benefiting from the plots, the cheapest on market, I can say. At least that is.
Now that is it. One, Wazalendo started in 2005. Unlike any other cooperative society, we started with the 30 members. And then the numbers have kept on growing. We are now over 110,000, and with a capital base of 280 billion, with an asset base of about 1.1 trillion. So that's the Wazalendo circle you have. We have about 19 branches dotted all over the country. And out of those 19 branches, we have what you would call the ones which operate the front office, 10 of them, including the Kampala one, which is near you here. And then the other one in the Fort Portal, Entebbe, Mbarara, Mubende, Gulu, and Moroto. And we are establishing 2 more this year, one in Arua and another one in Entebbe. So that was Wazalendo Circle in brief for you. We have a membership that comprises not only of soldiers, we also have civilians, those ones who work with the Ministry of Defense, and also civilians who work with us in the Wazalendo. It's a requirement when you are coming to work with us that you become a member, so that when you are working there, you have something to protect.
Yes.
So that is our requirement. If you are coming for a job in Wazalendo Circle and you are a civilian, we ask you whether you are willing to be a member. If you are not willing to be a member, then we shall not give you a job because you will have nothing to protect there. So that is briefly Wazalendo for you. We engage a lot with the community through the corporate cooperation among cooperators with other cooperatives, and then giving back also to the community under principle number 7 of cooperatives, concern for the community. So we are deeply engaged with the community. Wazalendo Circle is now contributing beyond just serving the soldier, but extending to the community. We do a lot of training for circles, especially around the month of February when we have the Tare Sita. We get engaged with the communities, give them free training at our cost. So we are doing a lot because we believe that like the Baganda say, agali ya wamu, gegalu menyama. So if you have very formidable cooperatives and very many of them, then it becomes easier for us as a country to mobilize resources and do the development and improve household income. Then we are able to contribute to national development in our small way.
Kano, let's talk about the mobilization of communities. Now let's look at the UPDF fraternity, but now let's look at it as a community. How have you been able to break through? Because the culture of saving, many Ugandans, is not something we buy into very easily. You go to a person in a very big office and they will tell you, I earn hand to mouth. I have nothing left to save.
Where Wazalendo Sacco came, we discovered in 2003. First of all, when the guns went silent somehow, we now had a challenge of soldiers who have settled in established barracks and they started having families. And because of the small pay at the time, there were challenges of meeting the family welfare. It was very easy to deal with a soldier as an individual when he's in operation, provide food and uniform, and that is it. But now here are people who have started having families. How do you therefore deal with the issue of the welfare of the family? And that's how the idea of Wazalendo Sacco came in 2003. Of course, initially we had tried to give our soldiers, sign MOUs with commercial banks, where they would give our members salary earners scheme loans. And so we thought that would solve the problem, but that one did not address the problem. So we needed to look internally. Of course, with the visionary leadership of General Ronda, then guided by His Excellency the President, we needed to look at internally. How do we deal with this issue internally? And the best idea that came was to establish a cooperative society. Now, it was very important to make people to understand why we are saving. The biggest challenge that we have in Uganda here, people save, yes, but do they know why they are saving? Many people, they join a group, they tell you, we can save money here. By the end of the year, you have, for example, if you are saving 400,000 per month, by the end of the year, you have a lot of money, about 7.2 million. Okay, then people now say, okay, at the end of the year, I have this, I will go and pick that money. But what is the initial plan for which you're saving? I think that's where the problem is. And I think that is the foundation on which Wazalendo Sacco stands, in that we first of all made our officers, because there was sensitization all over, to make them understand the reason why we are establishing a Sacco and how it will benefit them. If people know why and what benefit, then they will buy the idea.
And how did you tell them why? What is that prompted them? Because like rightly you said, maybe in groups where they will tell you Christmas is near the corner, you're going to have some days you're not working, you know the city is closed, so you need some good money to take you through. If you're saving regularly, maybe by Christmas you have your car 4-5 million to take you through, and then there people feel the reason. Let me save, last Christmas was dry. Those days when offices were closed and you would not call anyone for money. So what is that message you took to the soldiers, this UPDF fraternity, to be able to save?
Already we had been hit by the exorbitant interest rates that our people had been subjected to when they are borrowing commercial loans, loans, salary-based loans in the commercial banks. So it was very easy to communicate to them that now that we cannot manage to deal with the other issues from there, if we got our own money, we shall be able to determine the price, and everybody will be able to benefit without conditions attached. When we gave those two messages, it was very easy now to mobilize the soldier and told them, when we start our loans, they will be cheaper. By that time, the commercial banks, most of them were lending at 40. We came at 18 when we started. Our rate was 18. And gradually, we have drawn it down to 12% for agriculture loans, and then 13% for salary-based loans, and then 13.5% for cash flow-based loans. So you need to have a message, a clear message that resonates with the challenges that are facing your people. It becomes easier to mobilize them.
Wow, those interest loans, Kano, isn't there a way I can join? Because we are when I go to get a loan, the interest rate is not fair. Can't I be your good friend? And
well, we are opening the common bond to the public. We shall discuss those ones.
With those interest rates, I must join UPDF. I hope it's not too late for me.
You have your friend General Kulaije. You engage him and see whether he can guide you on how you learn.
Right. Now let me go to Bwambale, a man who deals with communities. And of course, even UPDF, that's a community or a fraternity, but you deal with civilians. And let's talk about first this village model that you're talking about and how it's been able to yield success. Because I know communities with money, there are issues of trust and others. Yes, Bwambale.
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, Pascal Bwambale is my name. I work for the Uganda Federation of MG Community Credit Cooperatives. This is an umbrella of MG Community Credit Cooperatives in this.
For the benefit of my viewer, when you talk about MG, what is this?
MG is Maol Gumgo. It's a Korean word, which simply means village bank.
Good.
And therefore, like I said, we have been able to establish close to 18 MGs, and we are yet to form 4 more. But this model was replicated from South Korea. And you are aware, in 1960s, Uganda supported Korea. And 60 years down the road, Korea is one of the developed countries, and they believe that this model changed the status quo. And so, but like I said, this model is a financial cooperative, like any other financial cooperative. Certainly, the Department of Cooperatives in the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives has different forms of financial cooperatives. Among them, we have the SACCOs, we have the EMIOGA, we have the PDM, and now we have the MGs, the village banks, the Maol Gumgo, the Samaol Gumgos. And so, how are we different? One is we are community-based. That is key. We are community-based, and these financial cooperatives are community-founded, community-owned, community-managed. Not like SACCOs. SACCOs are member-owned, member-managed, member-used, but these ones are community-founded. The other ones are member-founded, community-founded. I hope the viewers, we should be able to differentiate this. And therefore, when we are forming these community cooperatives, we involve the community, all the stakeholders in the community, the residents of the community, the leadership of the community, the institutions in the community, so that these financial cooperatives are owned, and then at the end are used and support the communities. And so that is one. The other issue is that we are looking at digitalization. It's a serious component in this, because without digitalization, which is a new norm in globally, you can't do much. So we are also focusing on ensuring that these communities access financial services, and specifically the digital financial services. But above all, but you said, how have we been able to?
That's where my interest is.
Yes, why have we been able to achieve? One is we look at these financial institutions as local schools. And therefore, education of the community, the members, and all the stakeholders is important for them to be able to embrace and be able to use these financial institutions. Two is the community support. These financial cooperatives have been able to support communities. For example, you find in a village, in Vuama town council, there is a village that was not connected to power. And therefore, this MG was able to advance this village money to be able to be connected to the grid. And therefore, as members started paying in installments, the money of the cooperative was being paid. Suddenly the village under the LOC1 chairperson opened an account in this financial cooperative. And therefore, it was all about the chairperson LOC1 and the community to make sure that this money is paid back. We have had MGs drilling boreholes where water is scarce in the community. And therefore, as members of the community fetch and pay 100 shillings per jerrycan, the money is, they are able to pay the money for this cooperative. But the point here is the support these financial cooperatives are providing to the community in terms of providing social services to the community.
Okay.
And they have also been able to establish agriculture shops. Rural areas in this country, over 95% are involved in agriculture. The issue of inputs and quality, high quality inputs, accessibility by the farmers, by the communities is a big challenge. And therefore, they are also looking at how do we support the communities to access quality inputs, agricultural inputs, because much of the loans are invested more in agriculture, and therefore, if they don't support agriculture, it means that the repayment of loans will not be effective. And they may end up having a high loan default, which is a major challenge in most community-based financial institutions. And so they are also supporting communities in that sector. Well, and remember, when I'm talking about communities, not all members of the communities are members of these financial cooperatives. So we are talking about community support, community-funded, community-owned, community use.
Well, I'll be coming back to you later for more clarification. When you talk about community-based, then they have been able to drill boreholes, then members collect money and pay. There's something we shall dig deeper into that. Perfect. But I want to come back to Kano. Has had tremendous success. Right from just saying that the soldiers, the members get cheaper loans and they make investments. I've seen some construct houses. I've had a number of testimonies regarding Wazalendo. Now you've even moved into production. Kano, I've seen circles that start today. And within a short period of time, there are no more. I've seen a circle where accountability becomes a problem, to the extent that one even had to swallow a whole book when members were asking for accountability in a meeting. And when I say this, one may think I'm lying. But you can ask Ivan here. Got it, and auntie, this is where accountability is. I don't know how he was able to digest it, but that happened. Now, what have been the pillars of your success? Because one would say these are armed forces, but this is a bitter truth I'm going to say, that some time back, there was a circle by police. I'm a journalist and I was following events. It almost hit a dead rock. But what have been your pillars of strength to the level that now we are even thinking of buying land? Other colleagues of mine were telling me, let's go, things are there, almost next to free.
First of all, Wazalendo Sacco is a financial cooperative society. And financial cooperative societies have their own doctrine under which they operate. They have 7 principles. Even if you choose to work only on the basis of those principles, you should be able to deliver a very powerful circle. Member, open and voluntary membership, democratic member control, that members control the circle, and then autonomy and independence, member economic participation, education, training and information, cooperation among cooperatives, and then concern for the community. But again, you come to the core values. Self-help, you need to dig into that and explain to your members, what does self-help mean? Even if you just picked on that. Then self-responsibility. What does it mean to you as a member to be self-responsible? Then you come to things like equity and equality, that everybody, the services that are offered to members, the very cost at which a general gets a loan should be the same cost at which a private gets a loan. That one brings harmony in things. But leave that aside. As Wazalendo Circle, we have our own core values that we espouse. Transparency, accountability, professionalism, quality member service, and then teamwork. Within those, we try to explain to the members, what does it mean for you to be professional? What does it mean? So we do...
Does that mean hiring professionals?
We have hired a lot of professionals. Wazalendo Circle boasts about 11 certified public accountants, including myself. Okay? And then there is also the issue of leadership. If you get it right at the board level, get the right leaders, and then train them, there's no problem getting a board member who has maybe been a member of a board member of a commercial bank, for example. But when you bring these people, you must customize them into the cooperative's understanding. So we do a lot of training for our leaders, and then also we do a lot of training to our members. You'll be surprised to hear that every year, Wazalendo Circle as the board and management, we go around the country to those establishments where there is a concentration of our forces, so that we teach them. First of all, we give them the progress. What does giving them the progress do? It encourages them, and it builds their confidence and wins their trust. When you come and tell them it is half a year, because we do it twice, in June and then in July and then December. So what does that, November, December, what does that one do? We are coming to tell you that you gave us a budget of this, and this is the target that we gave you when we came to the AGM. We are now here. So members are able to monitor progress and believe in what you're doing. Say, okay, I think we have a good team. So we keep on encouraging our members and showing them this is where we are going. But also we give them the training. Like now, next month, we are going for enterprise selection training. What are we going to be doing in this? We are going to get people who have been successful amongst ourselves. And they're the ones who are going to teach others. Because if I go and teach them, it would be perhaps more theoretical. And they will say, this is routine. You expect they cannot come and talk like this. But you're going to get from amongst themselves people who have been successful, we have documented their stories, say, come and tell the story. How did you start? Where are you now? Where do you expect yourself to be in the next 5 years? Besides that, we are doing business that is well structured. We have our bylaws that summarize how we are supposed to conduct ourselves as board, management, and the supervisory board. The bylaw is there. Then we have also developed very clear policy for every aspect of business that we are doing. There is a policy that speaks to it. These policies are not just documents which are kept in the shelves. Last year, we had a program. From 7 to 8, members of management would sit and they are taken through what each policy says, so that when you are seated there, you are doing things that you understand. Okay? Then besides that, every year we develop a strategic plan. And that's the document that the board hands over to us. Say, in 2024, 31st December, we expect you to be here. So we work towards that. These are some of the things that have helped Wazalendo Circle to grow. I can summarize it and say, it is leadership, it is the training, it is our discipline, and then professionalism.
Now, someone out there or a circle out there, if you have those principles, those have been the foundational pillars and the will of which Wazalendo has relied on to get to where it is. Now I go back to Wambale. Ivan, I'm still with you. Just that this morning. Ivan is a co-host.
He's here.
He's a co-host. Permit me to first.
I'm very happy when I hear my children. Give such
He's a father,
stories.
he's a judge and now seated here.
I'll come back to you. Your
Judge.
presence.
In the middle.
Your presence is much honored. But let me cross over to Wambale. Yes, Wambale, I wanted to supplement something.
Yes. Thank you so much. My dear viewers, I may be sorry for this, the words I'm going to use. I have been in this sector for some time. And he talked about leadership. What destroys financial cooperatives is what I call using the stomach to think than using the brain. Certainly when you use the stomach to think, you are like nze nfunirawa, and therefore you are milking the cow before you even feed it.
I have a friend who told me fet watandike ekintu kyaffe.
Exactly.
Fet watandike ekintu kino.
And that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, we are the we are the founding members of this circle. Yes, now how do you come and tell us?
Exactly. And when, like I talked about using the stomach other than using the brain. And therefore when you use the brain is what he was talking about. Being able to strategically think, being able to strategically lead this financial institution for it to be able to achieve its mission and vision. And that's the reason why this financial cooperative, cooperatives and any other corporate body exists. So once we fail, once we divert, there's what we call mission drift. Once we divert from the mission and the vision, and we begin thinking of how we are going to milk this big cow without feeding it, certainly it's the major reason to why most of the financial cooperatives collapse before they even reach their first birthday. And
now here I want to bring in Ivan, the old man of the crowd. Now Ivan,
Jajawa Cooperative.
Jajawa Cooperative. Let's look at the temptation of money. Because I've seen some cooperatives sail through. But when they reach levels of Wazalendo, this is what happens, viewer. You have all the books that are needed, you signed all. Now, one morning you wake up and the members' savings have hit 500 million plus. Now, you're the founder members. About Andike Chinchamu, who had the brain and then went ahead, like Kano has told us about the background of Wazalendo. They weren't so very many. Now, amongst you, you look at this rich, fatty account. And one says, see how far the Lord has brought us.
Let's now touch it.
See how far the Lord has brought us. How faithful he has been. We started when we collected 100,000. The Lord has been good to us. We now have 600 million on our account. Then the temptation of money. How do people, because this is where most of them may not die the infant death. But when they have hit some level, members' savings become a problem. Dreams are now easy to live and fulfill because there is money. How do we go over that?
Oh, thank you so much, moderator. First of all, you know, when I'm seated here with these people giving such testimonies, very wonderful testimonies, I really feel very comfortable as you see it. If you have to look back and look at the history of Wazalendo, how it started and the role UCA played in this scenario. I remember at that time, telling a soldier to save was not easy. Even the generals, the topmost, when General Ronda, General Kale, they came with Uganda Cooperative Alliance, because we invited them. By then I was still in the circle, but my predecessor invited them. And discussing the issue of starting a circle, to them, wasn't something feasible. Until they were sponsored by UCA to go out and see how other countries, he has mentioned, the issue of discipline within the army. professionalism, it propelled Wazalendo to move very fast. And here they are. He's managing trillions, not billions. Viewers, these are trillions, not millions. So this is it's a very big
thus
portfolio.
far the Lord has brought us.
Yes, it's a very big portfolio. And I really want to appreciate the army leadership for this. And he has mentioned very pertinent issues of accountability, transparency, professionalism, discipline, leadership, management. Once those are not there in a cooperative, then forget about it. You have talked about managing change. You know, by the time I joined the SACCO in 2003, 15th of March, we were riding a bicycle. We didn't have even a motorcycle. But now when I look back at the SACCO that I went into 2007, July, with a portfolio of 500 shillings, they are now driving double cabins and Land Cruisers. So from bicycles, they have now gone to Land Cruisers. So you are very right. How do we then manage this?
Managing success is a
Now,
problem.
these young people who have just come in,
Yes.
they do not know how you started. Riding, in fact, we started by walking, going for recovery and assessment. We would walk, climbing those hills, going through valleys and whichever, you assess and come back. From walking, we went to bicycles to motorcycles. So someone now enters today, finds such life, and does not value how you started. But managing change and managing growth is very critical. And this is how Wazalendo has done it. And I wish all our viewers, circles who are listening and looking at us, please, let's learn a lot. Community saving is about attitude change.
Absolutely.
How do we change the attitudes of Ugandans? People still, the marginal propensity to consume is higher than the marginal propensity to save. So, but we need a lot. We need trainings. People need to know, why are we saving? What is the benefit in the future? My friend, he has mentioned the Korean model. Personally, I was in Korea and I interacted with the professor who is the director of the Korean Development Strategy. And he really told us how they came to Uganda in the 1960s to learn, understand the cooperative model, because in Korea it was not working well. So they came here, 1960s, they found Uganda Cooperative Alliance had been formed on the 17th of June 1961. Cooperatives had formed the bank, the Cooperative Bank of 1964. Government had established a cooperative college at Bukarasa in 1963. Cooperatives had over 311,500 Uganda shillings. They were controlled, they had 14 gineries and 7 coffee churning works. They were controlling 90% and 60% of coffee, both Arabic and Robusta. So it was a very interesting model. Now they went back and started theirs. By 1961, 3 months after UCA, they formed theirs, their UCA, the other side, which is the National Cultural Cooperative Federation of South Korea. Can you believe by 2011, its net worth was $305 billion US dollars? A lot. They have 37 companies. The biggest or the largest supermarket in Seoul is owned by cooperatives. They have a cooperative bank, they have everything. Why? Community mobilization. This is the model. Whereby for them they have gone beyond just mere membership of a circle, but involving the entire community. This is the model.
Okay.
How do we, beyond the circle, because you see, if you went to, let's say, to a certain community, you find a circle, but not every community member is a member. So what they do, they make sure that every community member is part and parcel of that development, and you move together as a community. Because you see, their model, what they have learned is that having a few members who are benefiting and who are richer, surrounded by very many poor people, it will not work. So better move the community as a whole. They're like the Wazalendo has done, moving the entire army community together. The police, moving all of them together. You hear sometimes, you know, one time I was training Wazalendo and also Exodus. Then you hear some people saying, you know, for us we are forced, but that is the community model. Because it doesn't make sense, I must tell Uganda, for you to have people who are members of Wazalendo and then the other soldiers are not members, then they start crying of poverty. Better move everybody. That is the Korean model. So, these discussions, and I would really request that let's cooperators outside there, especially circles, let us learn from Wazalendo. Let us use Wazalendo. I have gone to their AGMs. What is speaking here is the truth. When you see the participation of members in their AGM, the reports, the transparency, the level of accountability, you really see that this is the model circle that we need to be talking about.
Well, Ivan, I have to cut you short. I'll go to Bwambale briefly, then I'll return to Kano because that is triggering my mind about Wazalendo. But let me just, you wanted to supplement.
Thank you so much, dear moderator. You see, community involvement facilitates ownership. Cooperatives basically are owned by members, but for us they are owned by communities. Now, once this financial cooperative is owned by the community, by the members, even the challenge you talked about, where somebody comes up and says, but the account is big, so how can I help myself, doesn't appear anywhere at all. Because they know this is our money, this is our institution. So ownership is a very important element. And therefore, like I said, we look at this as a local school, and therefore training, and CEO Wazalendo and CEO UCA have talked about it. Training. So when we do trainings, when we carry out local schools and we are training communities, we emphasize ownership. And therefore, once they benefit, once these projects once they facilitate these projects, certainly they own this financial institution, and they can now therefore use these financial cooperatives. They can save and they can borrow and pay on time.
Well, Wambale, time is flying so much. I have so many questions for Kano coming in, and they have requested, please, Ivan, this is what I can tell them. Time today is not enough. I want to tell the UPD fraternity, because Mogisha said need Kano. I promise I will have Kano back, and you'll be able to ask all questions. Actually, I'll announce his return so that the UPDF fraternity is ready, because there are so many questions here, and we can't even risk to answer one because of time. But Kano, please commit yourself. When I call upon you, return.
I am always available.
People. Okay. Now, time really have to wind up, and I'll just give each of my guests a minute to wind up. Allow me begin with Ivan, please, a minute. Let me start with you.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. And as usual, cooperators, join me to appreciate UBC. Thank you.
And Bwambale.
Thank you so much again. I'm happy that I've been able to be invited here and talk to Ugandans. Savings is the way to go. If we must take this country, if we must participate to take this country to another level, then each one of us should be able to save, and not only to save for consumption, but to save for investment.
Thank you so much, Bwambale.
It has been a great pleasure to be here and to be able to share with our listeners and our viewers outside there the journeys and the milestones that we are making. But I want to emphasize, if we want to develop our country, we must participate in the development of our country. And if we want to own our economy, we must own the money. And we must own the money through savings, credit and cooperative society and any other forms of cooperatives. Once we have the money, then we can talk about the development of our country. So I want to thank all of you who have formed circles and ask the leaders to make sure that the circles benefit members so that collectively we can contribute to national transformation and development.
Very interesting. Well, very important. Someone thanked you so much, Kano, for the good work you're doing and said now we are not only saving our money for us to invest, but we are in real estate and other projects. Kano has not spoken about our successes sufficiently. Well, time could not allow, but I hope next time I'll bring him here. And I'm also very happy that it's not all about me saving my money so that I can get a loan at a cheaper interest and I invest. But when my circle now goes into doing business, that is another aspect. Yeah. And doing business successfully, not coming up with reports and telling us the business venture we went in, we made a loss there. Finally, I want to thank the entire team. I want to thank Uganda Cooperative Alliance, Ivan, for the good work, because when I need cooperators, he's always around to prevail me with the guests we want in that function. But also to thank all Ugandans that have heed to the cooperative movement. It is the only way to go for us to own, and I want to emphasize, for us Ugandans to own our economy. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.